but we do have those two parallel lines being shown. So the first thing we want to do is solve for x. So I'm going to go to the two expressions that have x in it, and I'm going to highlight those angles. And since there's no number in these two parallel lines, I'm going to try to make a relationship between the two angles that have x in it. So I outlined both of them and then I connected them. Do we see any letter formed here by connecting those two angles? Yeah, we should see what letter? A C. Now the angles in the C, do we want them, are they congruent or are they supplements? They are supplements. So our equation to solve for x is not going to be setting them equal. It's going to be 3x plus 50 plus x plus 30 equals 180. Now I'm going to combine my like terms since they're both on the same side of the equal sign. So I'm going to get 4x plus 80 equals 180. We then subtract 80 on both sides. And we're going to have 4x is equal to 100. Divide by 4. X will equal 25. So the first thing asked us to solve for x, we got x is equal to 25. Now we want to find angle A. Well, do we agree that angle A and that 3x plus 50, aren't those vertical angles? So angle A will equal 3x plus 50. So if I plug in that 25 for x, I will be able to find what 3x plus 50 is. So we're going to say 3 times 25 plus 50. Well, 3 times 25 is 75, plus 50 is going to be 125. So if this angle is 125 degrees, then angle A is also 125 degrees because vertical angles are congruent. Now, do we agree that angle B and x plus 30, those are vertical angles? So B will equal x plus 30. So now I'm going to find what x plus 30 is. So I'm going to have 25 plus 30 is 55. So if this angle is 55, then angle B is also 55. Yes, Stella. Absolutely. You got it. Anybody confused with how I got any of this? Anybody need further explanation? We're good? Okay, let's go to number 4. I'm going to erase this over here so I have room to work with number 4. So this one's a little bit trickier. If you notice, we have multiple parallel lines. We have these two lines are parallel, and we have these two lines that are parallel. So we're going to use different parallel lines to help us find the missing angles. So I'm going to start off with the blue parallel lines first. And so I have the angle 70 and I have the angle Y. So I'm going to connect those two. Do you see that I've made an F there lying on its back? So what do we know about the angles in the F? Are they supplements or are they congruent? They're congruent. The only angles that are supplements are which angles in what letter? The Noah? This, yep, the C, which is the same side interior. So now we know angle Y is 70 degrees. Okay, so now I'm going to erase this highlighting I just did. And now I want to focus on X. So to focus on X, I'm going to use the yellow lines, I think. Let's see what we have here. I'm just going to extend down here. Okay, so using the yellow parallel lines, I see a C. Do you guys see a C with X and Z? But do I know either one of those? No, if I don't know either one of them, can I find either one of them using the C? No. So that's not going to work. So now I'm going to have to think outside of the parallel lines. Leilani? You got it. Do you guys see these three angles right here? They make that straight angle on the bottom. So a straight angle is 180 degrees. I have 2 out of the 3 angles that make that straight angle. So I'm going to add 70 plus 30 and get 100 degrees. Then I'm going to do 180 minus 100, and we will get X is 80 degrees. This changes everything for us now, because now that we know that X is 80, can I use that C to find the Z? Yeah, so we know the angles in a C have to add up to 180. They have to be supplements. So I'm going to do 180 minus 80, and we'll get 100 degrees for angle Z. Anybody still copying number 4? Can I keep going? All right, number 5. So we want to solve for X, we want to solve for Y. There are no numbers here that I can use. So I'm going to use the 2 expressions that have X in it and see if I can make a connection. And I think I did. What have I just created? What letter here? A Z. And the angles in the Z, are they congruent or do they add up to 180? They're congruent. So I'm going to have 6X is equal to X plus 90. And because the x's are on different sides of the equal sign, I'm going to subtract an x on both sides. So now I have 5x is equal to 90. And then we divide by 5. Let's see, I could do this in our head. 5 goes into 9 once for 18. Sorry, 80. So x will equal 18. Who thinks they know how we'll now find y? Jack? You got it. So now y and 6x are vertical angles. They have to be congruent. So before I find y, I have to find what 6x is. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to say 6x will equal 6 times 18. So I'm going to have 18 times 6. 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4, we get 108. So if 6x is 108 degrees, wouldn't y be the same as that since they're vertical? All right, number 6. Since there's no number here, I'm going to use the 2 expressions that have x in it and try to make a letter. What letter have I made? An F. And what do we know? The angles in the F have to be congruent. So I'm going to have 3x minus 40 is equal to 2x plus 10. Since the x's are on different sides, I'm going to subtract that 2x. And so we'll have x minus 40 is equal to 10. Add the 40 on both sides. and we will get x is equal to 50. Now, do we agree angle A and 2x plus 10, they make a straight angle, they have to add up to 180? So now that I know that x is 50, if I plug in the 50 for the 2x plus 10, will that help me find the angle A? Absolutely. So we're going to plug in for the 2x plus 10. So we have 2 times 50 plus 10. So we're going to have 100 plus 10 is 110 degrees. So if this angle is 110 degrees and they have to make that straight angle together, doesn't angle A have to be 70? And weren't the angles in the F, weren't they congruent? So if 2x plus 10 is 110, wouldn't the 3x minus 40 also have to be 110? And aren't B and 110 vertical? So B also has to be 110. If at any point I'm going too fast or I'm losing you and you're not following how I'm getting any of these numbers, please stop me. So this one's a little bit tricky. Is X vertical just to the 50? No, that is not vertical to just the 50. If you notice the intersecting lines that make the X, there it is. So it's not vertical just to the 50. It's vertical to the whole angle of the 50 plus the Y, right? Okay, so we need to figure out what that is. Well, do you guys notice the F between the 70 and the 50 plus the Y? So doesn't this have to be whole angle 70 also? If that whole angle has to be 70, what does Y have to be? 20 in order to add to that 70, which means X is vertical to the 70, so X is also going to be 70. Almost done. A few more problems. Okay, since we have a number for an angle this time, we have the 40. I need to somehow try to make a relationship between the 40 and one of the variable expressions. Is there a relationship between the 40 and the y plus 15? There is, but this doesn't make a letter. Who remembers what this is? So if you highlight it, there you go, Bella. Good job. These are alternate exterior angles. It doesn't make a letter, but aren't they on the outside of the two parallel lines and on alternate sides? So the AEA angles, they have to be congruent. So what does that mean? The y plus 15 has to be equal to 40. Does that mean y is 40? No, that means y plus 15 is equal to 40. So then we subtract that 15 on both sides. So y is equal to 25. Let's just find y is 25. What about x? What is x? Any ideas how we can find the x? Jack? Good. Do you guys see how these two angles make a straight angle? So if this bottom angle is 40, x is going to be 180 minus 40, which is 140 degrees. Yeah. You did the C? Yeah. I love that. Yeah, it's perfect. All right, number 9. More parallel lines. And if you notice, there's different kinds of parallel lines. These 3 lines are all parallel to each other. And then these 2 lines are parallel to each other. So let's see. Let's start off with A. In order to find A, what I'm going to do is I'm only using this top parallel line and this parallel line. So I'm sort of ignoring the middle line. Does that make sense to everybody? So I outlined the 70 and I outlined the A, and now I'm going to connect them. So looking at the 70 and the A, ignoring that middle line that's cutting through them, what letter have I created? A C. And in the angles in the C, are they congruent or do they add up to 180? 180. So that means angle A has to be 110 degrees. Okay, so now we want to use, now we want to find angle B. So unhighlight what I did to find A. So for angle B, I'm outlining it right here. I guess the only number on this side would be 110. And it looks like I've made a Z, right? Between the 110 and this angle over here. But is that angle B this angle over here? No, but if I'm able to find this angle over here, what's its relationship to B? This angle and this angle. All right, let's go ahead and find this angle. So the angles in the Z, aren't they congruent? So this is 110. And don't you guys see that that makes that straight angle right there? So they're supplements, right? They have to add up to 180. So what does that mean for angle B? It has to be 70. So now that I know angle B, I can use angle B to find angle C. So now I'm going to use this line and this line. What have I just created? Another Z. And the angles in the Z, are they the same or they add up to 180? The same. So this angle is 70. All right, now we have D. Well, D is now having to use this parallel line, not the yellow one, the blue one. So I'm going to use that and the angle C. Didn't I just make a C right there laying on its back? So that means these have to be supplements. So this is 110. Okay, I'm going to do number 10 with you, and then number 11 you're going to do on your own. So again, we have 3 sets of parallel lines, if you notice. 1, 2, 3. Not 3 sets, 3 parallel lines, I should say. We want to find X first. So I'm going to start with the 60 and X, and I see a C. Do you guys see that C? So angle X is going to be 180 minus 60, which is 120. Now to find Y, it's a little bit tricky. Do you guys see how 120 and that angle next to X, that whole angle makes a straight angle? So wouldn't it be 120 plus 20 plus Y makes that straight angle? So what I'm going to do is 120 plus 20 is 140. Then I'm going to have 180 minus 140 and get 40 degrees for y. All right, now the last part is z. This is very tricky. So here's the z. And I'm going to connect it like this. Do you guys see how it's a very stretched out z? All right, so one armpit is the z. Is the other armpit just x, or is it x and the 120? It's the x and the 120, so this is 140, which makes the angle z also 140. Another way we could have done this, because the stretched out z was not the best or the easiest, I also could see the c here. Do you guys see the c? And then the angles in the C, sorry, have to be supplements, have to add up to 180. So if y is 40, then z has to be 140 to add up to that 180. So both ways you could have seen that would work. All right, I want you guys to do number 11 and then raise your hand so I can check it. I will stop recording here.